The house hears everything. The house listens. Night settled fully over the Aldwin mansion. Crow stood alone in the corridor, the last echoes of the family's voices fading behind closed doors. The storm outside had softened to a steady murmur, rain brushing the windows like cautious fingers. Candlelight stretched and trembled along the walls, giving the hall an unsteady pulse. He exhaled slowly. The house was quieter now, but not empty. Crow walked, guided by instinct more than intention. The clocks whispered as he passed them, each ticking at its own uneven pace. Somewhere beneath the floorboards, the mansion groaned, old wood shifting, as if adjusting itself around him. He stopped before a portrait he hadn't noticed earlier. An Aldwin ancestor stared back, eyes sharp, mouth set in a knowing line. Around the painted figure's neck hung a familiar shape, a gold pocket watch, its engraved serpent faint but unmistakable. Crow felt a dull pressure bloom behind his eyes. "So it's older than Edgar," he murmured. The candle beside him flickered violently. Crow turned. Nothing. Yet the sensation lingered, the unmistakable feeling of being observed, not by people, but by the space itself. He continued on, footsteps soft against the floor until the corridor widened and opened toward the central stairwell. From above, the mansion breathed, slow, patient, attentive. A whisper brushed his ear. Not words, memory. Crow closed his eyes. He had felt this before years ago in another house, another case he rarely allowed himself to remember. Buildings that absorbed grief, walls that learned fear, structures that remembered too much. He opened his eyes. At the far end of the hall, a door stood slightly ajar, the study. Crow hesitated. He had already seen death there, already touched the artifacts Edgar Aldwin had tried and failed to understand. Still, something pulled at him now, urging him closer, not toward answers, but toward acknowledgement. He did not enter. Instead, he reached into his coat and felt the weight of the pocket watch resting there. Cold, unforgiving. The Oriet hex was not merely a symbol, it was a language, one the house seemed fluent in. Below, a floorboard creaked. Crow turned sharply, but the stairwell was empty. No footsteps followed, no voices called his name, only silence. Satisfied for now, he returned to his room and closed the door behind him. The lock clicked softly, a fragile barrier against a place that did not respect boundaries. As he lay awake, listening to the mansion's restless murmurs, one certainty settled deep within him. The house was not revealing its secrets yet. It was listening.
What was that?
Morning came reluctantly to the Aldwin mansion. Crow woke before the bells rang, his sleep shallow and fractured by dreams he could not fully recall. The house had been restless through the night, timbers sighing, distant knocks that never repeated, a rhythm just off from the wind. When he rose, the air felt charged, as though the mansion had carried something through the dark and now waited to see what daylight would do with it. Downstairs, the family gathered for breakfast. The long dining table gleamed beneath filtered sunlight, but no warmth reached the people seated around it. Silverware rested untouched. Cups cooled. Suspicion had taken a seat among them. Constance presided at the head of the table, composed but brittle. Her gaze lingered on Crow longer than courtesy allowed, as though weighing the cost of his presence. "You barely slept," she observed. Crow met her eyes calmly. Neither did the house. A flicker passed through the room. Edward stiffened. "What exactly are you implying, Detective?" "That this place doesn't forget," Crow replied evenly, "and that Edgar didn't die in isolation." Eleanor scoffed, pushing back her chair. "You're turning superstition into suspicion." "Sometimes," Crow said. "They're the same thing wearing different clothes." Amelia flinched. Thomas watched it all with quiet interest, his smile absent this morning. "You're speaking as if you know us," he said, "as if you belong here." The words landed heavier than intended. Crow's hand tightened briefly around his coffee cup. He felt it again, the subtle pull beneath his ribs, the same sensation he'd felt standing before the ancestor's portrait the night before. "I've been in houses like this," he said slowly. "They're drawn to patterns, bloodlines, symbols passed down and misunderstood." Edward leaned forward. "And you're an expert on that?" Crow did not answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his coat and placed the gold pocket watch on the table. The aureate hex caught the light. Silence spread. Amelia's breath hitched. Eleanor's face drained of color. Even Constance's composure fractured just for a moment. "You recognize it," Crow said quietly. "All of you do." Thomas broke the silence first. "You shouldn't have that." "Neither should Edgar have," Crow replied, "yet it killed him all the same." Constance rose abruptly. "Enough! This family has endured generations of shame and secrets. We will not be dissected like a parlor curiosity." Crow stood as well, meeting her at eye level. "Then tell me why your ancestors wore this symbol. Tell me why the house reacts to it. Tell me why it reacts to me." No one spoke. Later, alone once more, Crow stood before the portrait that had unsettled him the night before. In the daylight, the resemblance was undeniable. The same sharp eyes, the same quiet restraint. Crow swallowed. His mother had warned him never to trace his family too far back. Some names, she said, were meant to disappear. Behind him, the house creaked softly, not a threat, an acknowledgement. Crow touched the pocket watch in his hand and felt the truth settle, heavy and inescapable. This was not just his case, it was his inheritance. In Chapter 4, silence breaks, and the truth refuses to stay buried.